Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment Official. Let's go, baby! Now, this is my review for the new Marvel Werewolf by Night special for the Halloween theme of October. Definitely a show I would watch now and on Halloween night, but this is my spoiler review. So if you have not seen it, I have a non-spoiler up. Go check this out. Go watch the show, then come back and check out my spoiler review. Let's get into it. Marvel special Werewolf by Night is a Halloween theme with a lot of scary and very haunted feel. It's a side quest feel for the MCU, but never fear, a lot of reference that makes sure you know that this is connected to the other MCU movies and shows. This movie had a lot of had that classic black and white feel. It had the MCU intro. The MCU intro even starts off playing its normal thing, but then you see four claws tear. Why do they do the four claws? Just because they don't want to confuse people with the Wolverine, because we know it's the Deadpool 3 logo. It has three claws because that's the Wolverine's signature. It also has a horror type music like you would hear in the classic Halloween specials back in the days from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman, so forth. Black and white feel, like I said. It's a special for Halloween, and it just starts off with a narrator telling the story like you would hear in the Michael Jackson music and movie type mini movie thriller. And it shows, and it also starts off with just showing old books and papers all written in Latin, and with a with a creature that could be a vampire or Dracula at its true form. And you see it all written in Latin. A winged monster, completely sculptured into it. You'll see different type of monsters, from this old den, kind of like Frankenstein puppet, who's supposed to be Mr. Stone, who was a caveman that discovered the bloodstones. In comics, it's called the Blood Gem, but not to confuse people with the Infinity Stones, they changed the name to Bloodstone, which that's okay, it makes sense. You also see, they explain that Mr. Stone is the first monster hunter. So, you see these tapestries of, on the walls, like Bigfoot, the Yeti. You see two mermaids. You see, I don't know, just your classic monsters that it's just giving that idea of okay, these characters are definitely connected to Blade and Moon Knight in so many ways. So it has that. That's what I'm talking about. This is definitely connected to the MCU in more ways. So they did not disappoint on that part. Because I know, it's like, what? How is this going to be? Well, it starts. So, it starts off with Mr. Blood, and he's now a, Frankenstein sewed-up puppet, and now he needs new warriors to step up to hunt monsters before the full moon appears, because that's, one of them is a werewolf, and they also are competing to win the Bloodstone, and which I think is really cool is even though it's in black and white, when they showed the Bloodstone, it shows actual red. So it's even though you're viewing in black and white, in those characters' eyes, that's how they're viewing it, is in full color. They see black, white, purple, yellow, red, just like you and I do now. But I think that's just really cool, and that's a WandaVision thing. That's really cool, I thought. And then we also get our first introduction to Elsa. She is the Elsa Blood, I should say, who is in the comics is basically like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but Marvel edition. And there, that if you look her up and read the comics, there is a big slight change to her character. In the comic book, she wanted to, but in this live action of the Werewolf by Night, she didn't want to be part of the family. She is the daughter of Mr. Bloodstone, um, but now she's here demanding to have the Bloodstone because it's hers. She's the one who's rightful owner of it, but her stepmom Baraza is against it. But she gives her a shot to, win it. And in the scene, you see Elsa's stepmom list how many kills each person has, but Jack Russell has the most, so it seems. And we get to see Ted, aka the Man Thing, and Jack and Elsa or end up working together just to find him. And in this, you learn that uh, Jack Russell is the werewolf. He and it basically whatever werewolf. It's the classic werewolf origin story. Same ability, same power, and he's just trying to protect Ted, aka the Man Thing, and Elsa's just trying to get the Bloodstone. So they team up to stop this thing, and there's other warriors are out there trying to beat them, destroy them. But at the end, you see Man Thing slaughter Baraza and threw her into the coffin of what appears to be Mr. Bloodstone, which is very interesting thing that happened. And with that being said, it's very. I thought it was very fun and cool. And in that and at the end of that episode, they go back to color, like just color, and you see Ted and Jack Russell just living outside in the woods, just camping, trying to survive. And you see that Elsa is now taking over the Bloodstone family tradition, and she's gonna be out hunting monsters. So, uh, there's a lot going on. So we're just gonna start with the first topic, the hunter kills. So Baraza's the stepmother of Elsa. Names he's introduced to like Barrasso, which is Barrasso, has 26 kills. Ezreal has 36. Leon, Leorn, has 43. Julian, 57. Jack has 100 plus kills. Elsa, not revealed. She's a outcast, but she is, because like I said, this version Elsa didn't want to be part of the family, nothing to do with them. But in the comic book, she was all about it. What I think about that is, I think the reason why they revealed their kills and gave the idea of like Jack is the one that has the most, because he's the only one who is a monster, but the rest aren't. Like, even Elsa's not a monster, but they are monster hunters. But Jack is using his werewolf ability to win these competitions or take down monsters. He even mentions he took on Dracula. And it's interesting just how old he is and how long ago where he at. So it's very interesting. And I just wonder, I think if they're going to use him more, which I'm pretty sure they are. I think he's just I think he's just got it. But I think Elsa though, to me, I think I think the reason why her stepmom didn't reveal her kills because she probably has more than Jack. That's a possibility, and you never know. But with Elsa, she, like I said, she is like the MCU version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But she slays not just vampires, but all type of monsters, and she's definitely heavily connected to Blade, Moon Knight, and other Avengers characters like Doctor Strange, even the Hulk. So it's all there, even Spider Man. So there you go. There you go. No, no, no. Let's talk about the Man Thing, aka Ted. Um, he was a scientist with who had the super soldier serum, and the multiverse changed him to make him look like that because there was people that was trying to steal his work, so he took it himself, and then he ran off, and he got in a bad car accident or a bad car crash, and he crashed into a magical swamp, which that is a Doctor Strange reference. There is a magical swamp, and now we know it exists in the MCU, but it's a reference to the Nexus, and with the super soldier serum and Ted going into that magical swamp changed his whole body into a monster. And you see the Nexus reference because that's connected to WandaVision. So now we know that in this multiverse saga series that they're doing, that even just going into the multiverse or any different realm could possibly change you physically or mentally now. You see, like Wanda, it took advantage of her grief and kind of made her go crazy. This took Ted and turned him to a monster, a thing. That's why he's the Man Thing. And you know his powers is crazy. His power is pretty much nature. He can control trees and talk to animals. You'll know it. It's just amazing. uh, what I think is that to me, if they're not gonna just hold these characters for Halloween, I think that you know Man Thing is gonna be a target for a lot of people. And I shoot. Well, the one thing I think is Blade and Moon Knight are going to be like the two characters who are going to be hunting the Man Thing because they think uh they'll probably do that story where Man Thing will probably they're is being accused of something Man Thing never did, and Moon Knight or Blade is gonna be the one to step up, and then they'll figure out, oh, it wasn't Man Thing type thing. I think that's gonna be something like that, something like that. But uh, besides that, I really like the thing they really got for the CGI and VFX effects. Really look good, like black and white and in color. It really looks really good. It looks just like what you would see in the comic books, and it looks amazing. And I think people are gonna really like this character all over again. I mean, the Man Thing's been around since forever, but I think this new generation of fans and people, young kids, are really gonna enjoy this character. And I think now we got one in the MCU. There's always one existed in the DCU universe, but it got canceled. But that's a different topic. But in the MCU, we have Man Thing, so I think it's great. I think that I think they're going to use this character a lot. I mean, why wouldn't you? But like I said, I really hope they just don't do this only in October. I think this is a character that deserves to be used more in any type of season or month or any phase of the MCU. So please, 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 please use them MCU. Please, Marvel, please. So, Jack Russell, he's the werewolf. He's got a dark hold on him. He has the your classic werewolf story. He's battled Dracula. And he's took on Blade, Moon Knight, Spider Man. Um, in this episode, in this movie, uh, Elsa's stepmom captures, uh, Jack Russell and Elsa and puts them in a cage, knowing that, when he looks at the moon, he's going to turn into a werewolf, and he's going to, Elsa's stepmom's hoping Elsa gets murdered. But luckily, it's only happened once, which they left us open. If Jack keeps Elsa is like scent, like he was sniffing her, getting like that memory smell, and then when he does turn a werewolf, he won't kill her. And he said it only works once, but he never mentioned who. So in the comics, I know he had a love interest, so they could go with that. Or maybe his mom or dad or a brother or sister type thing. They can always go that route. And then in this one, like, what I think about that is, I think what they're gonna do is, I think they'll probably do Jack Russell and Elsa as an item. I think, like, I know there's so much. I know, like, they're struggling with this Blade movie as far as putting in production and getting it done, but I think this is building up to, I think this is definitely their way of trying to expand the MCU, right? And so you're gonna have, particular characters who would fit and to take on these monsters or demons. Like, think of like DC Comics, Constantine. You know, Constantine takes on so many type of different monsters and demons, and then you have other characters that fit well within that series, including Batman, right? And so this is MCU's version of that, of not Constantine, but the idea of, like, okay, you got monster hunters, you got people who take on demons. So Doctor Strange is like the Constantine, but he's one of the main guys, including Blade, who take on the bigger, badder villains. But if they wanted to, and they may get the big screen, who knows? But Jack Russell and also Bloodstone, these are characters that could get their own Disney Plus series, or a Disney Plus series that continues on with these characters, right? And they can introduce these other, like, monster mythical creatures that they haven't even introduced to us with Doctor Strange or Moon Knight so far. And like I said, with all this trouble with Blade, I think eventually when they get this movie on and get it set off, I think when Marvel finds the right director and the right script writer and so forth, I think it's definitely because they want to make sure it makes sense. They want to make sure it's going to connect. And with this film, it was just a small taste of, like, okay, now expect, like, some weird stuff that's going to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we're getting cool characters that I just think people are going to really enjoy watching. Again, like, Werewolf, aka Jack Russell, he's battled, like, Dracula. So we know Dracula exists in the MCU. And Blade is the main goal of that. And I just think we're going to get these, we're finally getting these MCU characters that are going to be battling the scary monsters, like the boogeyman type thing, right? Because, I guess, Spider-Man doesn't have time for that, right? But he does have time for that. I'm sorry, but he does. Um, I really like this, and I really think there's other stone bloodstones. There's other stones that exist that in comic books that if you take the bloodstone, there's like I know there's like a moonstone, right? And or gem, but in the comic books they call them gems. But obviously, for since the Infinity thing, they're gonna rename some of these things that can interact with the bloodstone. But I think a lot of it's gonna be bringing back the living dead. So that's why I think like we'll see these characters interact with Moon Knight too, just because uh, if you remember the afterlife world that Moon Knight was in, uh, if you get the other stone, I forget the other stones' names that interact with the Bloodstone, but if you get them all together, you can literally enter that world and bring out the living dead or monsters into out of that world and have them roam this earth, right? And I think that's where they're going. Like, uh, I think it's very interesting of that going that route, and yeah, they may save this for like Halloween specials, but I think, like I said, I think this. I hope they don't just wait till Halloween. I think they should spread this out through all the seasons, even through Christmas. Do it. Summertime too. Let's go. Come on. But I think this show was just like so great and it was so exciting to watch that I think they need to do more of these. Like these are really I like the idea of having a Marvel special, and I think it's such a great strategy to do this way because it's you're getting more chances to introduce more characters, and then when the time's right or whenever the next phase is, they can add these characters back in and use them again in other films or shows, right? So, uh, with this, it told a very simple story, and the first story was that's in this show is pretty much the Monster Hunter story. Capturing the werewolf man, and then you have Elsa, who has her own story in the Bloodstone family. Such a huge story of just the history of Monster Hunters. So you have Monster Hunters that exist in the MCU, and there's a lot more. The ones they showed in this one, there's a ton more. There's a ton more, and I think these guys and women are now existing. But I guess the question is like, how do we get them all into the MCU more often? Well, I think, like I said, I think with Blade and Moon Knight, I think those are your first two you want to start with and sprinkling around these other characters. And then even like Man-Thing, I think Man-Thing could really fit in the next Doctor Strange movie because another thing, Man-Thing can travel through the Nexus. He can travel through, cause he can go back into that magical swamp because now his body can handle it and travel in different multiverse. It's kind of like a pocket, like a little air pocket that only Man-Thing can go in. So I think there's that. So I think there's a lot of potential characters, and this just revealed to me this was a small taste, but it was a great watch, and I really enjoy it, and I really like this. This was really fun to watch. It, like I said, classic horror film type. Uh, the music to it were like the classics that remind me of like Monster Mash to Michael Jackson's Thriller, just the narrative, just talking through it. It was really fun, and that's something I'm gonna watch again on Halloween. So I'm definitely giving this 1 out of 10. I'm giving it a 10. It was a great film. I think this opened up a new door that we didn't think was going to happen in the MCU. Um, I also think that this helps introduce like the mutants in a way. So there's a lot that can happen. So that's it. So thank you for listening to my review. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Please subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest